It is 10:37 p.m. on Sunday, September 5th, 2021. This is my summary of the day. I just did a summary of yesterday a few hours ago, so it feels like I've just done this. But I have new things to report. I'm just walking home from a comedy show, not a show, a class, and there's an apple. If anybody would like one, I probably should not eat that. Even at the best of times, probably not a good idea. In a pandemic, worse idea. Okay, so when last we spoke for my update, I was just walking around the parking lot over there and just talking about how I went to the comedian pool party yesterday. And then went for a jog, and I guess at the end of the jog I did my summary. And then I came home, went through the garage, had a shower, came upstairs. My parents were like, oh, my mom's like, do you want to ride anywhere? I'm like, why? My dad's like, wrong answer. And I'm like, okay, but it's still, I need some context for why you're asking. But I guess, and they never really told me, but I figured out that they were going to dinner with friends, and they were leaving at 5:30, and I'm like, well, it's 5:15. I'll go do some writing for 15 minutes, and then I'll see. And then my mom's like, so you're coming? And my dad's like, no, he's not. And she's like, why do you say that? Because if he has to go right, then he has to get ready afterwards. And I'm like, so I just decided, you know what, I'll go downstairs and pack, and I'll take my laptop with me because class doesn't start till 7. I'll do some writing there. So they gave me a ride, and I found a Starbucks, and I was like, what do you have without caffeine? And I said, what about the strawberry lemonade? So that's a refresher, that's a bit of caffeine. No. I had one of those a couple of years ago. I couldn't sleep all night. And in the morning, I was like Googling it. It's like their sports drink. It's like their extra caffeine thing. Refresher. Yeah, and on the sign in Toronto a couple of years ago, it says, with caffeine. I thought, oh, with caffeine, maybe it's like a black tea. It has a little bit of caffeine. No, they mean like it's got super caffeine, but they were being all coy about it. Anyways, I told her, no, I don't want that. And I think she said some passion fruit thing. I was like, oh, I'll take that. But my friend Kathleen just texted me because she saw in my story. She's like, that looks like a refresher. And I'm like, no, I specifically told her no caffeine. She's like, maybe it's the passion fruit thing. So we'll see. We'll see if I can sleep because I barely slept last night. And then, yeah, the class was fun. I went to class. I thought I was being all, look at me on time. I'm walking in at 7, but everybody else was already sitting there and they were waiting for me, and then they started. And it was really nice. There's actually like 11 people, I think. Maybe plus me is 12. And yeah, good mix, men, women, young, older. So it's kind of exciting. And they've mixed like the level 1s and the level 2 because they didn't have enough of level 1. And then they didn't even know if they had enough of level 2, but then she says, everybody signed up at the last minute. I'm like, oh yeah, I literally paid like half an hour before I showed up. So she's correct. Yeah, we did the thing that we often do in those classes where he gives you like a setup. He gave us 4 setups. We had to write some things. And I remember he likes that if I write lots of content. So I just cranked out lots of headlines or like punchlines. And yeah, when he went up afterwards, he's like, oh, you always amaze me with the amount that you write. And I wish I could do that, and your performance is so funny. So that was good. I filmed it. I'll show it to you. And then afterwards, a fellow bald guy came up. He says, in his introduction to himself, we all went up and introduced ourselves. He said, I woke up one day and I was old. I'm like, how did that happen? And I always wanted to do comedy, so I'm going to do it now. So that's great. It was kind of the theme of the night because Pierre, the teacher, was talking about how he recently taught a class with 2 people who have cancer. It was like the cancer class, like stage 4 cancer, and there was like the bucket list, and they were talking about cancer and dying and picking up caskets and everything, and I mean, that's amazing. Good for them. That's fantastic. So, and it's been on my mind because, my aunt just passed away from cancer, and I just was listening today about this longevity podcast, and actually, I commented on the guest, the longevity expert, on Instagram, saying, does anybody want to start a Facebook group? And he just commented now. I just read. He's like, oh, that's great. You're thinking of doing that. I was thinking of starting that. And so I commented, well, I could do a podcast with you and start this group with you. So who knows? Maybe we will. He could be a part of Spark U. That's my class, right? My Spark University. And then he could be the longevity expert. Anyways, yes. And then afterwards, I was talking outside, and this woman was saying she was a friend of Rob's. I'm like, who's Rob again? Is that the guy that like has the Amazon book and everything? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, he drove me home once. And she's like, he was the guy who was always talking about his D. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that, the D word. now I remember he was talking about how he was mad that he was circumcised. I'm like, that's how I feel too. It's like you took away my feeling. Yeah, she was telling me because she's a friend of his, she came to the class show and remembers my act about picking up masks off the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that. And she's like, yeah, see, and I remember it like all this time later. I'm like, this is great. I should go dig up my old jokes. And then I walked her and this other woman to their cars, and then the one woman left, and then I talked to this woman. What is her name? Can't remember. She's a doula. She helps people give birth. But yeah, we talked for like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something in her car. And I said, yeah, we should do a podcast together, because she's like a lesbian and likes talking about sex stuff. And I said, I could talk about that. That'd be funny. And I said, we should just go do some open mics. She's like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't have enough stuff or something. And I said, you just got to keep doing it. Like, she's like, I've never gone and done one. And I'm like, yeah, she's like, okay, she's going to work on some stuff this week. And then at first she was going to say, like, if you do an open mic, I'll go with you. And then she's like, no, I mean, if I do an open mic, I'll call you, because she doesn't want to. I said, yeah, you don't want to give me the power. But that was good. So I said it was nice. And she's like, thanks for talking with me. I'm like, no, thank you. It's nice to, I was thinking it's nice to talk to somebody in the city. And I wasn't even sure I should sign up for the class, because, I got to move out. And I'm like, am I even going to be here in 6 weeks? But 6 weeks will fly by. I told my mom, I was like, I don't know if I should do this. I might be out of the country. She's like, well, where are you going to go? Like the lockdowns and everything. I'm like, yeah, so I guess I can stick it out for another 6 weeks. And if, I've been making friends, like at that comedy thing and here, and I really enjoy it. Like when I'm sitting alone in my room, I just, I spin, I feel awful. But when I'm on stage, I feel good. When I'm with comedians, I feel good. When I'm actually writing stuff, I feel good. It takes my mind off things. So, obviously I should be doing that. Imagine, and here I'm just going to spin for a minute, but imagine like for 30 years if and my friend Sean just posted, he's like, I can't believe it. Like September 3rd, 30 years ago, 1991 is when I started university. He was in my high school class. So I'm like, yeah, me too. 30 years since I was 18 and, about to meet my first girlfriend, Sarah, and have my first kiss. And yeah, it's magical times. 30 years, but it's just a round number. I mean, what does that mean? I don't know. What have I done with those years? Who knows? But I particularly love when I'm sitting outside and I see these joggers. It makes me happy. It's very cozy to see. Somebody just every night he's doing it. He's working on his exercise. Maybe he's going home alone. Maybe he's got a wife at home. I just love seeing that. It's like when I walk past a gym at night and I see people working out, and it just makes my heart, rise. I love it. Or in a window of a condo, and you see in the condo gym people are working out. So yeah, my website I'm working on still isn't ready. It was supposed to be ready today. I haven't seen anything, but it's still my Hail Mary on making a lot of money. And then who knows? Maybe I'll get a roommate somewhere. I'll have somebody to hang out with. Anyways, when I go to bed, somebody invited in my short notice Facebook group invited me to play tennis at 11 a.m. and I still got to do some copywriting tomorrow. So hopefully I can sleep. Hopefully there's no caffeine in that drink. I'm a little bit hungry. I almost bought popcorn. Walked into the variety store. I was going to get Smart Food, but then I Googled, is Smart Food healthy? And it's not. It's just not healthy. And it's like in a chips. At first I Googled chips. And I'm like, I really feel like some Miss Vicky's chips, but that's really bad for you. So maybe I'll just have some oatmeal now or something. Thanks for... Who watches these? Does anybody watch these? Doesn't matter. Maybe I'll watch them one day. Okay, have a good night.